Okay, so Danny, you were telling us about your project. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm finally launching my graphic novel on Kickstarter. And what I'm so happy about is that like I'm actually doing something with this instead of just it sitting around being, this chunk of it being done.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on this. Like I started writing it in late 2018. This is the first project I really got into production that got me into comics and made me start taking it seriously. I knew it was going to be a long thing. These 4 chapters have been done for a while, but because once I started producing stuff, the pandemic hit really quickly. I really haven't had much opportunity to like be at conventions and to talk to humans and to really refine my actual pitch. And I was at a con earlier this summer. I got like really, really close.
Yeah.
And then, just got into design, did the whole thing as a trade paperback. Issue 5 is done, so that's going to be an add-on. I know on our streams and somewhere elsewhere on your Discord, I've seen lots of people saying bad things, and rightly so, about creators who go online, sell a project, and don't deliver it.
Yeah.
You don't want to sell volume 1 of 3
without
people knowing what the promise is. And I feel like having issue 5 as an add-on not only says, hey, here's what I promised, but also it's like, and I'm still just background producing this baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's a little bit best of both worlds there. If people want to read more, it's there. If they trust what is going to happen, it's there. And then if they don't buy it, I mean, whatever. Maybe I'll do a couple of mini launches with variant covers if this launch is successful. Maybe I'll just wait until volume 2 is done.
You know what? I certainly want to shine plenty of light on plenty of projects, but let's take a minute and congratulate John here on Spirit of the Dragon 2.
Oh yeah, that just finished.
So yeah, that just finished. 267 backers pledged $14,499.
Congratulations, John.
Yeah. So John, that seems like a lot. I mean, that's the first question. Is that a lot or is that not a lot?
If it'll cover my expenses.
Okay, so like it pays for all the art?
Yes.
Okay, because I saw on Twitter earlier, some, people go to Twitter with these like Buddhist koans. Well, what is the true meaning of writing? And would you, if you could swap yourself in the Happy Days, which character would you be? And somebody was, so somebody wrote like, what is your goal in making a comic book? Or,
the tweet I think was, how do you define success? In comics?
How do you define success? And that's a good question. By the way,
it is a very good question. It was actually, and my answer is very similar to a conversation I had with my sister like 10 years ago when I was still trying to do film. She asked me, how would you define being successful in film? And I said, if I can make enough money to support myself.
Right.
Like I don't have to be a big name director, producer that everybody knows my name. I just want to do what I love doing and make enough money that I can support myself doing it. And I see this, and the answer is exactly the same here. I enjoy doing this, and I will define success based on if I can make enough money to support myself doing it full time. I'm not there yet. But this actually is pretty close. I estimate that I'm actually about probably 18 months to 2 years away from that.
Right. Okay.
And very close. I was just writing some grant applications that required budgets. And you're reasonably on point for a project for this scope. Like you're very close to being there, and also like having it be like a pay rent budget. I mean, it was for a Canadian grant, so obviously healthcare wasn't a separate expense line.
Right.
So I don't know how bad that is in America. I'm sure it's terrible.
Yeah.
It depends on who
It
you
is what it
are,
is.
as your day
So
job.
far, I haven't gotten sick, and that is
Yeah. Cross
that
your
is my
fingers.
healthcare plan. So thank you.
But yeah, like that's aligned with the sort of budgets I was just projecting for upcoming projects in a way that like would make my government happy because I'm actually paying everyone fairly, including myself.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
you're close. You're definitely like
I
within a small number.
my artists consider what I pay them fair.
Yeah.
Because they keep coming back for work. So I take that as a sign is that they feel that they are justly compensated.
Yeah, really is.
And I gotta
mean, they
say,
set their
you
own
know,
rate. Like they
Yeah.
came to me and told me this is my rate, and I said you're hired.
there you
So
go.
as
And
far as fair
and let's
wages
face
go,
it, looking around at the world right now, you know, getting a gig that pays you in US dollars is a pretty good gig.
Yeah, ask me about paying other people in US dollars and not
Right.
making them. Oh my
Yeah.
God, my
Yeah.
budget would be blown up all year.
Yeah. You know, so
Yeah, like it's
we'll
not.
put it this way: I spend almost my entire day job's daily salary in art a day based on averages.
Nice.
So to put it another way, my day job 100% covers my art, and this is what I live on.
Sorry,
I mean,
it just occurred to me sort of while Preston is hyping up other people's projects that I just finished lettering Larry's book.
Yay!
Number 2. And the art is gorgeous.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I didn't
which book is
really
this?
read.
Primal Chaos
This is,
2.
Yes, that's it.
Who lettered issue 1?
Angels.
That is a good question. Who did letter issue 1?
It was someone more professional than me who wasn't available. And so Larry asked, and because in the interim I'd done all those projects for John, I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go if you think I'm all right. I sent it to Settles, and he was pretty happy. And I got to do some really fun stuff with style. His demon voice style that the last letterer used was difficult to replicate in the way I did, but I'm really happy with that template. And I did some fun stuff with Gabriel. And there was just some stuff I really had to do that was interesting just to fit with the art and make it work. So it was a really exciting challenge, and it was just really nice to do. I think it looks good. If Larry were here, I would ask permission to show things, but of course he isn't. So there we go.
Well, good. I have tried to encourage people to just follow their business with an eye towards quality, you know, and I think it helps. So
I feel like I leveled up a bit doing this. So yeah, it was a great experience, but also it's coming out soon.
Yeah.
And that's another project that we workshopped on the stream.
And so what's it called again?
This is Primal Chaos number 2.
Oh, yes, exactly. It's Primal. Yes.
So this was like right back when I joined. Larry was bringing this stuff in. It has like Farouk in. Sorry, this is going to sound like a terrible game of Clue. Right. It's got like, you know, Farouk in the sewers, like beating up an angel.
Yeah, I remember all that.
There's like a crazy senator and some like ridiculous international or whatever conspiracy, and there's someone definitely blows up a helicopter. And even show up. Satan makes an appearance.
And it sets up Guinevere and Viviax and all them to enter in issue 3, I think.
I remember he did do that in issue 3. Yeah, they definitely are not entering in this issue.
Right.
Well, I guess if I'm still lettering when that happens, I have to go mimic someone else's style to have Viviac's voice look like Viviax.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, it's good, right? You know, it causes you to stretch as an artist or whatever.
I'm happy with that. I had to buy a font for this project, and I'm really happy I did that too.
Okay.
Oh, he made you buy your own fonts?
Well, I mean, I made him buy it
Oh,
for
oh,
me.
yeah.
But
Oh,
Oh, there
okay.
you go. There
he
you
doesn't
go.
pay.
Okay.
He does not pay me enough. Like my page rate is low enough that I'm making you guys I'm making you buy the font.
Well, I mean, I bought the fonts for our
That was that.
projects, and I'm
That
like,
was that crazy display font though, and you needed it anyways.
yeah. But
Um,
still, I was
you know
totally
what?
like, yeah, dude, find the font that'll work, and I'll pay for it. I mean, like,
And like, man, that font. So, for those of you who care about lettering, there's a particular font we used in Angel of Reckoning, Darkness,
Angel of Darkness. Yeah.
We found that thing at so many different price points and with so many different stipulations in the license. It was insane.
Wow.
It like for $100, we could have used it for nothing.
Yeah.
And then there was like a $500 thing where we could have used it once.
Right.
And then we also found it for like, what was it, like $30 US? Do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much.
Yeah, like just on different platforms. One that was like $200 to only use it on a website. Yeah. And now
Yeah,
this is
and
not
one of
my
them, I
website.
think one of them was like, it might have been the 2 or the 500. It was like it was one of them was a subscription. You basically you can use it. You have to
Like
pay us like
$200 a year. Yeah.
$200 a year, and you can use it indefinitely, but you have to pay for the license indefinitely. As soon as you
Right.
stop paying for a subscription, you have to stop using the license. I'm like, what?
No, thank you. And then yeah, we found it in a way where we actually could use it from the actual foundry very cheaply.
Yeah, and I even bought 2 of them just for fun.
There you go.
There you go.
So yeah, fonts are weird. But yeah, this is an actual comics lettering font. So I'm glad I've got another really good one for that kind.
Yeah. So Danny, what's your goal for art? So tell us about the project that you're about to launch then.
Sure. So Sleepwalkers is my graphic novel project. If you want to pull up a link, there's one. I think I put it in the comic books or the shop page.
Okay, sure.
It is the most recent link on the shop page.
Okay.
Volume 1 is called #Adulting Sucks.
All right.
So yeah, it's a graphic novel about life after graduation, adulting while millennial, alienation, and the imagined self. Degree in hand, Faith struggles to find work as she watches her friends get ahead, and it feels like her dreams have become nightmares. What she doesn't know is that she is making a difference, because when she sleeps, her subconscious leaves her body and becomes a superhero.
I can definitely see the appeal to millennials. Like, you're a superhero while you sleep and you don't even know about it.
Don't even know about it.
And you don't even know, right?
And that's this really fun tension I wrote in where, I mean, it's the subconscious. And
yes,
having read some Jung and Freud, right, the subconscious is something that sort of happens and your conscious mind tends to turn away from it. So she's doing the superhero stuff unconsciously, doing what she wants. And when she sees evidence of it, she sort of looks away and doesn't want to connect it with her actual self.
Okay.
And that's this really strong tension that runs through the book.
It sounds almost gritty.
It is almost gritty.
Yeah.
It was certainly inspired by stuff like The Sentry.
I mean, yeah, it certainly seems heavier than I want to say than other projects I've seen. This seems like the heaviest I've seen.
This is an earlier production of mine too.
Okay. Got it.
So this was scripted and is being produced as 12 chapters / issues.
Okay.
This volume is issues 1 through 4. It's the first full story arc. It's a complete story unit. And yeah, so I started.
How many pages will it be?
110.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a trade paperback.
Yeah.
If you want to buy the individual issues, I'll take your money.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, this is sort of what got me started into comics. And I started.
Well, and in that way, you can have some cool variant cover artists that make people want to get those comics. You know.
Yeah. No, and I think that's going to happen. I mean, I have like definitely 2 cover variants. Felipe Orlando's doing one. Because
like I just did Salt Lake City, by the way, and just there were some customers, and I'm kind of happy to see them, step up, and they're approaching it not for the story, but for the collectability, and so they'll be going through like my box of Zenoscope and Coffin Comics with Lady Death and whatnot. And they'll be like, "Oh, cool, some Lady Death I don't got, and some Zenoscope. Oh yeah, that cover." And then they'll go through my box and I say, "Oh, like and they'll start pulling some of my covers, and that's cool. And I'm happy when they do that.
That's awesome.
But then I'll always be, and hey, trade paperback $20. I'm like, like,
it is what it is.
Yeah,
that's why I do have the individual issues on sale as well if you want it in that format.
Right.
And I actually I add like work in progress material and some essays about the stuff in those issues. So there's extra content if you want the extra covers and you're a hardcore collector.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, and I have 42 followers already, which is awesome.
That is good.
I didn't know I had that many. You should push that button, Preston.
There we go. Okay, you're right. Here we go. You know what? You actually have 43 followers.
Hell yeah. Bit by bit.
Congratulations.
And yeah, I figured out like just last week, my super gimmicky bonus swag is going to be shot glasses that say adulting sucks on them.
There you go.
And I think that's going to be really fun. And yeah, so it's coming out soon and it's very much heavier than the stuff I brought in. Eventually I'll get back to heavy material, but I want to finish this project first.
Okay, great. All right. So let's see, John, we have your script and we have my script.
I continue to fail to write scripts. I've been stuck on set all weekend for the last 2 weekends. That project is overrunning time now and it should wrap this weekend coming up. But making a movie, it's really hard. Making a comic is a lot easier.
Yes. All right. So who wants to go first here?
Well, I mean, John, which of these do you want me to narrate is the real question.
Exactly. Is John?
Oh, I don't care.
Well, I remember last time
Danny.
you were peculiar. So yeah, so give me something to read and I'll narrate one of them and not narrate the other one.
Here we go.
Possibly I will narrate the other one. We'll see how my voice goes.
Let's see. Well,
I work for both of you guys.
Yeah, of course.
I need to read these things anyways.
All right. Let's open with.
This saves me reading time later.
Exactly. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
I remember I told you I was going to send you issue 4 because I needed to workshop it, and then I'm like, I'll just bring it to the writer's stream.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. You're definitely saving money on my editing services, but that's because we're friends. And we're all doing this in the support of Preston's YouTube channel. Everybody
Thank you. Yeah. See, okay. So
I guess I don't win, but I'm still doing work for you guys, so I'm still sort of winning. I'm certainly not losing.
You're getting paid.
Not losing.
All right. Show and Finder. Open.
Do we have the technology?
Yeah, here we go.
And so this is going to be our Palace.
Yeah, we'll start with Palace.
Okay. I'll try and give the plot summary.
Okay.
So Palace of the Golden Princess number 3.
3, yes.
Thora, possessed by the I'm not going to say villain because everyone's a villain in this. The antagonistic god Ereshkigal.
Yes.
Starts some violence in the palace and really wrecks the queen. But what's her name? Her plucky squire, the redhead, convinces the queen not to kill
Gretchen.
her. Yes, Gretchen. Convinces the queen not to kill her. She definitely names that asshole Edmund.
Yeah.
So she is sent off on a journey to a distant land in order to retrieve a magical object, in order to have another negotiation with Archimedes or something like that, or to make Ereshkigal happy. One of those things.
Yeah, essentially, it was Thora had the. I mean, I don't know what.
I think they're going to fetch an object, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. It is.
Oh, yes, and to return faith to Ereshkigal, who's a forgotten god.
Yes, exactly. Essentially, they worked out. I'm posing some questions about what it's like to have multiculturalism. Everybody here worships Viviax. Well, but I want to worship Ereshkigal. Is that allowed?
So they're figuring that out.
Yeah.
And we're now dealing with the gender politics of this universe, with Nestor showing up, who seems
Mhm.
not to be an asshole.
Right.
And now we have gotten to a distant desert land
Right.
and come across the sand-blown ruins of a massive city
Yes.
where a war has happened, and it was so deadly no one even picked over the remains. The skeletons are still on the ground. Nobody got buried. No one took the metal. They're just there, dead in this wasteland.
There you go.
Was that a good summary?
That was great. Yeah.
See, I remembered everything that happened, which is a sign that you did something right.
Thank you. All right. Who wants to narrate?
I'll narrate this one.
All right.
Yay!
I'll
Thank
be
you, John.
Thora. And I guess
you like more lines in the next batch of pages.
yes.
Sorry, does Gretchen or Nestor have more lines?
Gretchen.
I'll be Gretchen then.
Okay.
All right, page 9. Panel 1, background. Ahead lies the gates of the lost African city of Chico. Foreground, the four ride through the sand in the early light of evening.
We have arrived.
It's beautiful.
Go, John.
We'll have John do it. Okay.
No signs of inhabitants. A massive city lost to time. Panel 2. A multitude of skeletons, some armored, some civilian, bear the arrows, spears, and swords that slew them. They stand testament to the battle that gave way to the massacre so many centuries ago at these very gates as the four approach.
What happened here?
A massacre.
The entire city? Panel 3. Thora leads the four through the gate into the courtyard area filled with skeletons, surrounded on all sides by high walls. Doorways and gates lead into the city ruins.
The ones not slaughtered live the rest of their lives as slaves in foreign lands.
Panel 4. Foreground, Thora removes her horse's saddle. Background, Gretchen dismounts her horse. Nestor and Bobby remain in their saddles, unsure what to do.
Nestor, you and Bobby stay here and guard the horses. I recommend you set up camp. Gretchen and I may be a while.
But you're not taking us? What if there are undead here?
Don't let your mind drift towards peril. I don't want you to get spooked and flee. I'll need my horse when I'm done.
Page
How
10.
she equates Nestor with the horse. They seem to both be baggage animals.
Yeah.
Page 10. Panel 1. Foreground. In her governess armor, Thora walks with Gretchen, who also left her robe behind. They walk toward the open gate leading into the city as the two women sharing a common purpose. Background, Nestor and Bobby stand with the resting horses. Everywhere, the faces of the dead bear witness to the scene.
Sisterhood eternal.
Panel 2. Thora and Gretchen walk through the ruins toward a towering temple a few hundred meters ahead.
This city is larger than Port Victoria.
Can you hear the whispers of the dead? They speak of their lost ambitions. There has been no one to hear them, and they have much to say.
Panel 3. Gretchen looks upon the crumbling carving in the nearby stone wall of a Mesopotamian strong lion.
You can see in the symbols that they exalted that this was a primitive and chauvinistic culture. This might be too late to ask, but are you sure that these are the kinds of messages we want to spread? What could we learn from those who devalued their women?
Yeah,
that's a fragment.
Yeah, it should just be who devalued or who allowed. Yeah, I'll
women is fine.
Yeah.
Panel 4. Thora surveys her surroundings as she ponders the question.
I've made my choice. Queen Arica conducts herself with no sense of honor.
Page 11. Panel 1. Gretchen challenges Thora.
How much misogyny would you be willing to internalize in the name of honor? They're having a philosophical debate. This is awesome, Preston. Way to go.
Thank you. How much would I have to hate myself to continue supporting the Queen's wickedness?
Panel 2. Gretchen bristles and points to a wall relief showing a Bronze Age military parade.
These people paraded their conquered people down the street as slaves. Do you really want to support a literal rape culture?
Panel 3. Thora stands her ground.
Who should I feel more concerned for? The Queen's sins against us presently happening, or examples of chauvinistic enslavement by a people long dead?
Panel 4. Thora points to the temple in the distance.
Now I am going up there, and I will humble myself before my goddess and learn what she has to teach me. That's the decision I've made. What you have to do now is decide if you want to continue to act as my squire, because I'm confident what happened at the palace will not be the last act against Queen Arica.
If
Will not be my last.
If I can add a quick note, that page really wants a silent Gretchen reaction panel between those two Thora speeches.
Okay.
Like, she doesn't have to say anything, but she definitely has to react.
All right.
Because now we have to care about what both of them think and who they are.
Page 12. Panel 1. Thora leads Gretchen up the steps of the temple. Ruined statues present the serpent-headed figure of Ereshkigal every few yards of the ascent.
I understand what you have to do. I guess I'm just not sure if this is a journey I can continue to support. The abrasions possess a problematic history. It's possible I may not be able to help you in good conscience.
Panel 2. Thora and Gretchen stand at the top of the stairs, peering into the main chamber. Gretchen does her best to remain calm, but seems a bit unnerved as Thora speaks her incantation with conviction.
I Ereshkigal, goddess of the underworld, mistress of oblivion, I have come here to reclaim your knowledge. I intend to show them the ultimate fate of human ambition.
Panel 3. Ereshkigal sits on her obsidian throne in hell. Thora stands before her, as we saw in the previous panel. Behind her, Gretchen stands at the doorway to the temple.
We need an
That'd be Ereshkigal. Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Welcome, Thora, the first live visitor to chant my name on the temple steps in over a millennia, except it's millennium in the single.
Okay.
Wait, so was the summoner not alive?
On the temple
summoner
steps.
hasn't necessarily made the journey.
She did say on the temple steps.
Yeah, she said that on the temple steps.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
also, that panel desperately wants a location tag.
Okay.
Thora has a line.
Yeah, you're right. I came as we agreed to honor you and bring your knowledge to my people.
Panel 4. Ereshkigal strolls down from her obsidian throne to approach Thora. Unaware of what's going on, Gretchen stands at the top of the stairs and in direct light of the fading sun. Thora stands within the shadow of the room's interior as remains unreadable as she meets her deity for the first time.
Yes, I've been enjoying watching your travels. I could feel your unspoken anguish when Gretchen challenged the nobility of my people.
Page 13, panel 1. Ereshkigal caresses Thora's impassive face with her hand.
She's the only person in the world I can trust. I want her with me, but understand her discomfort. Your people do have some backward traditions to our way of thinking.
Panel 2. Gretchen apologizes.
I'm sorry, Thora. I did not mean to hurt you. I just have to stay true to my conscience.
Panel 3. Remaining in the shadow of the interior chamber, Ereshkigal stands before Gretchen, who stands outside at the top of the stairs. Thora stands half in shadow as she faces both.
Your friend can't see me because I have not yet touched her mind. But since she's important to you, since I do want to reward those who worship me, bring her to me.
Panel 4. Thora exerts her authority over her squire as Gretchen tentatively steps into the darkness.
Don't be afraid to step into the darkness with me.
Who are you speaking with? Ereshkigal?
Yes, she awaits to enlighten you.
Page 14, panel 1. Gretchen backs out of the darkness where Thora stands beckoning her back in.
Like she enlightened you when you were unconscious and unable to consent? How can you trust the word of a rapist? Yes, principles! You got there, Preston.
There we go. Will you not accept my judgment that joining us is for the best?
Panel 2, Gretchen comes to a starting revelation and backs away.
You're not the same as you were before we entered the Forsaken Wood. How does it improve my lot to exchange one abusive leader for another?
Panel 3, Thora stands in the light at the top of the stairs. As a few steps below her, Gretchen backs away cautiously.
And what of the wisdom we promised to recover? Are you unwilling to even hear it because it comes from a problematic source?
So
Panel
many
4.
principles.
Yeah.
Panel 4, even further down the steps. Gretchen continues to face Thora and look for any signs of betrayal.
The old Thora would have known better than to listen to obvious hate speech for an oppressive male society from a time before anyone knew better.
Page 15, Panel 1. Background, facing Thora. Gretchen continues to back down the stairs. Foreground, Thora turns to face Ereshkigal, who calls to her from the darkness.
It's fine, Thora. Come to be my prophet, that we might find a compromise between the old world and the new.
Panel 2. Thora calls down to Gretchen, who looks up at her from the bottom of the temple stairs.
Very well then, Gretchen. I want you to wait for me right here in the temple grounds until my business here is finished.
Shouldn't I wait with Nestor and the horses?
I think we both know the answer to that. Now do as I say, Squire.
Yes, governess.
Panel 3. Nestor and Bobby walk along the outer walls of the great city carrying water bottles they refilled from the river behind them, which flows through the city's heart.
I don't even see the point of coming along on this trip to be left behind like this.
I know, those women are incapable of ever recognizing us as their equals. But heed my words, Bobby. Their day of reckoning will soon be at hand.
Ah, there's some background stuff going on. So much foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Panel 4. Foreground, Nestor holds his index finger over his mouth with his left hand and uses his right to point back to the campsite to where they are returning. Background, a shadowy figure rifles through packs near the party's 4 resting horses and pup tent. Page 16, Panel 1. Bobby shouts out and runs forward.
Halt! Who goes there?
Panel 2. Gretchen steps out of the shadows carrying a folded cloth tent. Bobby and Nestor listen to her story.
It's just me, you two. Thora's commanded me to remain by the temple as she communes with her goddess Ereshkigal. Oh dear. I'm afraid saying that is going to take some getting used to.
Panel 3. Desperate to prove his worth, Bobby challenges her. Nearby, Nestor looks at Bobby, surprised.
Not much better than us men, huh?
Please forgive my squire, Gretchen. You know how young men can be. Panel 4. Nestor and Bobby attempt to send Gretchen on her way. We'll stay here as instructed. We merely stepped away to fetch some water. Would you like some? Page 17, Panel 1. Gretchen takes a bottle of water from Bobby as Nestor relaxes.
Yes, thank you. You two are doing a wonderful job.
Don't praise them, Gretchen.
Panel 2. Thora stands atop the courtyard wall, looking down at the 3 of them with a clay tablet cradled in her right hand. Oh, she's Moses now?
She's
I'm totally
Moses.
cool with this.
It sends the wrong message after you let a
Don't
man
judge it
disrespect
until you see how it plays out. Let's see if Preston sticks the landing.
Panel 3. Bobby and Nestor look up with shame.
As the Book of Venus instructs us, sisters, let us forgive arrogant men their daily tantrums. Lo, let it serve unto us a daily reminder for why they must be led to the enlightened path of reason. Heareth, girl, for you know this to be true. It is a sin to consent to his microaggression.
That was an actual aggression.
Okay, there we go. Even better.
Like,
Panel
oh, hey,
4.
we didn't see
Gretchen
her
repents.
stronger would have been a microaggression. Or
Mhm.
like mansplaining.
Okay.
Actually, you haven't had any mansplaining yet. Really.
There we go. Yeah.
You're right, governess.
Page 18, Panel 1. Gretchen speaks her truth to Bobby's power, leaving him emotionally shaken.
Bobby, it was wrong you should meet me like that, for you and I will never be equals.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Quite all right. Women are patient with the petty rebellions of beta males.
Panel 2, Thora manifests a religious persona of herself as sexy, snake-haired, demonic avatar that blend Ereshkigal with her own features.
And she said unto the men of this ancient city, gather to me, men of old, that I might proclaim my truth. Lo, I said, I now speak for Ereshkigal as her prophet, here to purge this world of wickedness.
Panel 3, Bobby and Nestor can't believe what they're hearing, but Gretchen loves this.
And there are many in the temple of the divine feminine who masquerade falsely. I have come to deliver a new gospel that will modify and change all of the old ways and customs, improve upon them, and bring to the masses the message of Ereshkigal.
See, she's not Moses, she's Jesus.
There you go.
Hallelujah. I renew my pledge to the will of the divine feminine.
Then you shall come to be my disciple, Lady Gretchen.
She got promoted?
She did.
She got a knighthood suddenly just now?
Well, what does it mean to be her disciple? She's kind of going off in this religious direction. I mean, she's been...
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
lady is a title. That's like sir.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
she's not a
I
knight,
should change
she's
it.
a squire.
You're right.
Very
Right.
specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
Priestess?
Yeah.
You have to read another panel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Panel 4, Nestor and Bobby struggle with the torrent of religious blasphemy.
As shall you, Sir Nestor. Your sense of honor and dedication to following my orders makes you an example of a reasonable man for the world. And then
I'm honored.
there you go. And
She's
that's as far as I got so far.
Context.
So anyway,
okay, so we walk into the temple. Thora is being fully converted. She talks to her god.
Yes.
They have Thora and Gretchen actually discuss the themes of this series with their voices and have a reasonable disagreement about things, and have opposing, mutually incompatible views on what the world should look like. And that doesn't get resolved, which is awesome. Turns out Nestor is not as necessarily as nice as he looks, or there's a conspiracy. We're not sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Thora is now probably Jesus.
Right. So some blend of Jesus and Moses. I'm not sure which. Yeah.
So I thought that entire sequence was quite strong.
Okay.
I wasn't really sure where you were going with the goddess stuff, but her coming back with the tablet was like, yeah, that's a cool direction. I'm really behind that. I really like that we're foreshadowing that Nestor might be an important character, that Bobby might be interesting.
Yeah.
And we've given Gretchen a massive upgrade with respect to her role in the story, because in the first 2 issues, she's largely tagging along.
Right.
And she's really an important voice now as compared to just being someone who's there.
Oh,
so that's what I liked.
All right. Awesome. What do you think, John?
I liked some of the feedback.
Yeah.
I liked some of the philosophical and religious imagery. I thought that was pretty cool. As somebody who grew up very religiously Christian, Christians will often claim certain Old Testament characters to be like not Christ characters, but they're like, I forget the term for it. They have some doctrinal term for it, but basically characters that are like, yeah, kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
And Moses is one of them. So there's similarities is something that most Christians are gonna not. They'll be fine with, if assuming that they're actually reading this. So like going from Moses to a Christ character.
I mean, you know, I gotta say,
and Moses is very largely a Christ character to the Jews anyway, so you're fine with that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Sorry.
Well,
that's not true.
He's very important to them. So
he is absolutely central to the entire tradition.
Right.
That's what I meant.
So with respect to the respective religions,
Well,
Moses is the central
the
character
more
to
you zoom
Judaism.
in
Christ is
on
clearly the
yeah,
central character to Christianity. Jews
right.
don't care about Jesus.
Right, but I'm saying if you add more and more and more context, then two things will always seem a bit desperate. But from a very broad strokes perspective, they both are these firebrand, charismatic figures who kind of lay down.
Some law. I'm
Yeah,
behind that.
didn't
a very
Moses
agreeable
bring?
argument.
I mean, didn't Moses bring like the new covenant or something like that, or was
He
that
brought
only Jesus? Or no?
he brought the tablets down
Yeah.
from the mountain. They he blew up an idol.
Yeah.
All this other stuff. Yeah, there's a big like covenantal sort of thing going on. With
Yeah,
Moses.
there's the Abrahamic covenant, there's the Mosaic covenant, there's the
Right.
Davidic covenant, and then I think there's might be one other one before Christ came. So
Right.
I'm
essentially having Thora like
she is a symbol for any of those. Like anybody
it's very,
can
like everyone there. And
yeah.
because I got the coming down with the tablet, that's very Mosaic. And then when she says, "I'm here to change the world," that's very Christ-like.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. So I mean, it works, and in either case,
Totally
it works. It does what it's supposed to do, which is it allows, it gives us a real world amalgamate, right? Something that we can recognize in our world that allows us to connect and know what's going on in that story. So I think that worked, and I thought just as I said, mostly it was the philosophical and religious context I thought and conversation was interestingly developed. Lots of allegories, not allegories, the wrong word, but analogs for stuff going on today. So and you do it in a way that you can connect to it without it being it doesn't feel too on the nose. So
yeah, no, that was all very good. I have some notes.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so the bit with the Reshkagal, I mentioned when we were reading it that it needs locator tags. I'm rescinding that.
Okay.
I don't know what location Ereshkigal is in throughout. Like she's alternates between either being in the scene and not.
Right.
And it's unclear whether Thora goes into hell or not. Figure that out. Show her as a ghost. Show us what she's doing. Is she waiting patiently while Gretchen talks to Thora? Is she trying to take over Gretchen's mind like an evil mind vampire while Thora is distracted? What is going on? Or is she just like sitting on her throne in hell? Either way, figure it out and make that real obvious, because you were switching locations. I was like, what, is she there? Is she not there? What's happening? Right. I thought it was like Thora's in hell, basically, but standing in the temple.
Yeah.
And then it turns out Reshkigal is also in the temple, and that's weird. Because why would all of these rituals that we saw Archimedes do and this ritual that we saw Thora do be required to connect with this person? She can just enter our world.
Well, I mean, I would say enter the world in certain spaces for certain people.
Then either explain it or, make add some art direction to make sure it's super clear what's going on.
All right.
And then if you need to explain that she can enter in the temple because
I mean, even with the summoner, you remember the summoner was doing a shitload of drugs before he could.
So he was doing a shitload of drugs.
Yeah.
Or went to a really remote, difficult place.
Yeah.
So that being, the table stakes is fine, but that's to go there and talk to her or to communicate across the boundary, not to let the goddess cross that boundary. Right. And it was unclear.
But I mean, this is her temple. I figure like this is her sacred ground. You know?
So have Reshkigal say it. I can be a ghost wherever I want in this temple. I do it all the time, but I want to go for a walk.
Okay, fair enough.
Like whatever. So that was really unclear. I was not a huge fan of the fake out with Bobby and Nestor. Seeing them actually fight somebody would have been good, because we do have. I mean, we open with a lot of fighting here, so we can get away with this being the slower part.
Okay.
We did have a lot of fighting in the exotic location in issue 1.
Yeah.
And they don't get to fight, so we don't get to see how they're different or how they operate differently than Edmund does.
Okay.
But it was still a good transition to Gretchen. I was briefly worried that Thora returned so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they come in at sundown, so are they walking around at night getting water? Is it the next morning? Like, what's the time?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that could clarify if more time has passed, and then Thora comes down from the temple. That makes a lot more sense than if it's like 5 minutes later, right? So because Gretchen was supposed to not be waiting at the camp and be waiting at the bottom of the temple, so like how much time passed here?
Yeah.
Right? So that worked. So that didn't really work for me in terms of like the timeline aspect.
Right.
And I'm disappointed that you missed an opportunity for Gretchen to just like dump some water on her head and take a ghetto shower in the desert with a wet t-shirt.
Okay, sure, we could do that.
Look, it's one of your books. I mean, if you're going to do it,
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah, but it's a Preston book, not a John Lamont book.
Yeah, she's still wearing clothes.
Yeah, I mean, that just means
it's not a John Lamont script.
That just means the boobies are on the cover.
He doesn't have sex with the temple.
Oh yeah. The boobies are on specific covers. You know that I kind of like
now
that.
a major character, so giving her like a beauty shot is not the worst idea.
Right.
So Gretchen seems like she's now a major character, giving her a beauty shot.
Oh. Anyway, yeah. Oh, you're back. Awesome.
So
for a minute,
that is it for notes.
All right, cool. All right, John. You got anything?
I thought the art direction, I think Danny touched on it, but yeah, the art direction in the temple scene was very confusing.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what I was supposed to be looking at. I think a way you can maybe help your artist is to differentiate between perspectives, like Thora's perspective or Gretchen's perspective versus, say, Ereshkigal's perspective.
Right.
So, like, when we're looking from Thora's perspective, describe that scene and then reverse it. And then when we go back, mention that, yes, we're back on that perspective again.
Okay.
Like I did or wrote a scene where two characters were having a conversation and one of the characters was hallucinating a third character in the room. So when we were looking from the character who was having the hallucinations perspective, that person was described as being in the scene. And then when we changed perspective to the other person's perspective, that person was then specifically described as not being in the scene. So that you can tell based on the change of perspective that this person is either there or not there. So maybe something like that might help. And I was confused about Gretchen, who was told to stay at the temple and then all of a sudden shown up at the campsite.
Well, I mean, really the way I was intending it was she was just like, okay, I've been ordered to spend my time here. I'm going to go get my tent and food and stuff, you know? So that's why she was back at the camp getting all those things. But it turns out Thor wasn't gone that long.
I mean, maybe she can say that or something when the two guys walk up.
She could.
She says, "Oh, I'm just getting my things because she wants me to wait over there."
Right.
And then they turn around and there's Thora. But then Thora doesn't say, "Hey, why didn't you wait where I told you to wait for me?" Right. So, like, maybe that's not even that important to have her wait there. Yeah, I'd almost say if it's not important for her to wait there, since clearly it's not, then just cut the line.
Well, at the same time, I want to show Thora placing her followers in certain tests of faith about what it is she wants and what it is that, how exactly are they supposed to make her happy?
Well, if you have a purpose for it, then that purpose needs to be
okay. You want me to invest more time in? Okay.
I mean, either do something with it or don't.
There, Preston.
Okay.
Gretchen is not clearly a follower of Thor the Prophet yet.
Right. Yes.
She seems to be by the end of these pages. That was my other
well,
thing.
and that's
She does a
where
really
it's
quick 180, and I'm like, okay, what?
Yeah, is that a mind control thing going on? Does she
Okay,
have some
so
sort of like gynokinesis?
okay, so you think so you would like there to be more discussion between Thor and Gretchen?
I mean, we need to
Well,
see
Thor,
Gretchen make the decision. She's
Gretchen
going.
specifically said, "No,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
going to join you." And then the next page, she's
Yeah.
all over this "Let's go worship a Reshkrikal" thing. So,
Okay.
like, what changed her mind?
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So you want Gretchen to remain skeptical for a while.
Or we want to see her
Or
make
be
the choice.
convinced.
Okay. Well,
Like-
what in your mind would convince Gretchen?
I mean,
I mean, she's your character. She could
I'm
have
aware.
she
Haven't
could
had
be
that much of
secretly in
Gretchen's
love with
personality
Thor
yet.
and just wants to do whatever Thor says because, you know, she's head over heels in love, and if Thor trusts her, then I trust her. I mean, people
Okay.
in relationships do that all the time, or people that are infatuated with other
All
people
right.
tend to
Don't worry
do
about it.
that.
I already know what I'm going to do. Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
immediate. Like religious
Yeah,
conversions
no.
are rarely immediate.
Like it doesn't. You can take 5 pages to develop it. It just
Yeah.
it just
You
needs
would
to be
take
there
5
in one way or
issues
another.
to develop it, and it would still be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, have you read Stranger in a Strange Land? It's really long,
Yeah.
right? And it's about that sort of thing and sex
I
orgies,
have.
and it's still really long.
Yeah, I have read Stranger in a Strange Land, and yeah, I found I liked it. It was interesting.
So,
But-
like, yeah, you can make a religious conversion story like long, and you should drag it out to make it really impactful.
Right.
What is it that makes someone change their mind? And this isn't like, our world where, of course, gods don't exist. But this is a D&D world where gods obviously exist and are known to, and people pray to them and get magical powers.
Right.
So then what makes you pick this one?
Right.
Becomes
True.
a really interesting question, because there's lots of known alternatives that are equally powerful and can manifest that power in the real world as far as these characters are concerned.
Right.
So it's a very different discussion than it would be in the real earth on which we all live.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at old religious texts back in very similar, like old religious texts were very similar, where it was never a question of do God or gods exist. It's always which God are you going to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're dealing with like a polytheistic religion, it's like, you go to Zeus if you want better weather. You go to Hera if you just want your house not to be invaded by rats.
Right.
Right. So there's a utility to these gods that doesn't exist in the post-Judaic monotheistic tradition.
Right.
Yeah. Everything's all his fault or not his fault at the same time.
Right. And there was
but yeah, like you can totally, I think you can borrow from what I'm saying is you can borrow from our old polytheistic worldview like that back in those times before, monotheism took over the globe.
I mean, I thought I was when we had the Mesopotamian lion and this,
I mean, yeah, and that's good stuff.
Yeah.
The other alternatives, of course, just borrow from the obvious source and read those conversion stories in the New Testament.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like, what makes someone convert? It's seeing a miracle and, and then thinking about it and being like, no, that was really a miracle. Like, there's, like it or not, the New Testament is still a fairly Jewish text, especially the Gospels.
Right.
In the sense that there's actually a lot of skepticism to unknown events that needs to be overcome for one to truly convert.
Right.
So, I mean, you could lean into that. Look, a lot of the stories are what makes someone convert stories.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right. John. So,
well, I guess I'm narrating this one.
Yeah. Let's see. We have, what is this? Angel of Darkness again?
Yep. This is going to be pretty much the rest of issue 4.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, the first chunk of this that we read felt like a train wreck happening in slow motion. And then you refused to fix it because the action that was happening on the page was a train wreck happening in slow motion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, by the
Basically.
way, quick question while it's on my mind. Danny, when is Ediano supposed to become available to start working on?
He said, let me just check my messages.
Okay.
Uh,
Because I want to get John his artwork so that he can get me my books in a timely
I'm
fashion.
literally checking the messages. I said in our chat on Discord. First week of October, anticipated completion date end of November.
Okay.
So that means we need to follow up with him next week, which means I'm probably need a reminder next week.
Sure, no problem. Okay.
Because I'm working on Sept this weekend because that project is still happening.
Okay. So yeah, I really like the way Ediano draws. Yeah, I think I can end my sentence right there. I really like the way Ediano
that's a perfectly good sentence.
Yeah.
Ediano
He's your penciler, right?
He is the penciler, yes.
And this person that I've never met named Jag does the inks.
Yep.
Okay, so Angel of Darkness, issue 4, page 12. Panel 1, Interior Observation Coach Day. Nikki raises her right hand, pointing at zombie Amos. Several spikes of dark energy fly from her finger.
Fumo Resufuti.
I didn't make John do it.
Yeah.
Panel 2, the dark energy spikes pierce zombie Amos's chest and head. Bloody chunks of meat fly out of his back. The Shadow, whose name is no longer in all caps. And I'm
the Shadow.
It might pop up in all caps again. I can't promise it won't.
He needs to show up only in all caps. Exits zombie Amos's nose and mouth. Panel 3, the Shadow swirls around Nikki as she stands. An emotion of surprise, that's a clause, crosses Nikki's face.
Jelani.
Panel 4, the Shadow passes out of the back of the observation coach through the broken windows. Nikki kneels beside Aaron as the pool of blood grows, presses her hand against Aaron's neck, but the blood oozes through her fingers.
Svina.
Are you going to translate any of these words for the reader ever?
It's just magic incantations. They don't really.
Exactly.
Well, if you want me to letter it, is there a special font we should use for magical incantation?
Yeah, the same one that we use for the foreign language.
Oh, cool. All right, problem solved. Make sure to keep that note. All right, page 13, panel 1, splash page. Nikki kneels beside Aaron, leaning over her, her left hand on the crown of the skull which sits beside Aaron's head. A fresh cut on Nikki's left forearm bleeds down to her arm to her wrist. Beside the skull, a straight razor lays on the ground, fresh blood dripping from the blade. Nikki presses her right hand to Aaron's forehead. Blood from Aaron's neck wound pools onto the floor. Nikki's skin is jet black. Her hair burns like white fire. A white shadowy mist passes out of the fresh cut on her forearm and into Aaron's cut on her neck.
Ropa. Oh, yeah. John, why don't you read this one? I think you probably got a better handle on it.
Oh, I don't know. Google Translate doesn't really do pronunciations very well.
All right.
We could skip it. It's
magical spell.
Yeah, magic spell. There we go.
Magic spell here.
Panel 2, small inset, meaning this is not a splash page. Aaron's neck wound starts to heal itself. Page 14, panel 1. Train passengers, conscripts, farmers, tanners, etc. stand by the entry door holding wood boards and nails. It was you, the whole time. Panel 2, reverse of panel 1. Nikki, her skin and hair back to normal, sits in a kneeling position holding the cut on her arm to stop the bleeding. Erin sits up, her neck wound completely healed, though her uniform is stained with blood.
Wait, let me explain.
Panel 3, a conscript fires his pistol at them. Nikki holds up her hand, palm towards them. A reddish, shadowy force field of dark energy materializes between her and Aaron, and the passengers catching the bullets. Okay, so the passengers catch all the bullets. Got it. Blam, blam.
Novo.
Panel 4, interior passenger coach number 8, day. The passengers barricade themselves inside passenger coach number 8, nailing the wood slats across windows and doors. A farmer looks around worried. Bag, bag, bag.
The train, it stopped.
Page 15, panel 1. Inset into what? Okay. Train coupler 4-5 day. The zombie leap off the train. Panel 2. Inset into nothing. Passenger coach number 8. Several pairs of eyes peek out from between the wood slats boarding the windows. Okay. Panel 3. Not a splash page. This is panel 3. Exterior African belt day.
That's a good point.
The remains of the Cape to Cairo railway train has stopped moving. Baggage coach is gone. Passenger coach number 3 is undamaged. Passenger coach number 4 is demolished. Passenger coach number 5 is roofless. The zombie raced along the track away from the train. Caption: Central Africa, approximately 50 miles from Lake Bangweulu Station. Page 16. Panel 1, exterior observation coach rear platform day. Erin, not wearing her officer's suit jacket, steps off the metal steps of the rear platform, affixing a sniper scope to her Lee Enfield rifle. Panel 2, Erin takes a knee, raising the rifle, peering down the scope. Bang. Panel 3, as the zombie races away from the train. Wait, away from the train? Okay. Sure. One of their heads explodes in blood and brain matter. The cue. Panel 4, close up on rifle bolt. That's an insert. Erin pulls the bolt back, ejecting the cartridge. Panel 5, Erin fires again. Bang. Panel 6, as the zombie races away from the train, another of their heads explodes in blood and brain matter.
Oh no!
You.
You.
That's repetitive. Page 17, panel 1.
I mean, so was Commando, but that doesn't mean it wasn't cool.
I mean,
They're
Commando
running
has dialogue.
Okay.
Nikki steps off the metal steps of the rear platform towards Erin. Erin fires the scope Lee Enfield. Bang. Okay, so we've established that Erin can shoot a gun.
And she's very good at it.
Sure. Panel 2, Erin looks up from behind the scope, a look of irritation on her face.
Out of range.
Panel 3, Erin passes Nikki walking inside the observation coach.
Don't go anywhere.
There is nowhere to go.
Then where are the zombies going?
With the
Panel
shadow.
4, interior observation coach day.
The
Erin
zombies are running away.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah.
Zombies are traditionally not scared, just generally,
They are the shadow.
I guess. She holds a satchel and fills it with ammo and water canteens. Panel 5, exterior observation coach day. Erin, with her Lee Enfield slung over her shoulder, holds one satchel in her hand and hands another to Nikki.
Here, you can carry the water and MREs.
What's this for?
They were headed after the major. We follow the tracks, we'll get to the next station, and should be able to call for help. And along the way, you're going to explain to me what the fuck you did.
Were they called MREs at the time? By the British Army?
You know, that's a good question. I'll have to look that up.
No, they would have been called rations.
They were still... okay.
Page 18, exterior African belt day. Let's see if this is really a splash page. Panel 1, possibly a splash page. Erin takes the lead.
There's only one panel on the page, Danny. See, it's up at the top.
Congratulations. It's your first splash page.
It's an actual splash page.
Erin takes the lead, hiking along the railway tracks, her rifle and satchel of spare ammunition slung over her shoulder. The uniform jacket, the one that's covered in blood, is tucked between the straps and her body. Beside her, Nikki, follows along. She has two satchels, a small one containing her magical items, and the larger one containing the food and water. In the distance, the train sits barely visible.
What makes you think I had anything to do with this?
Do you think me a fool? You brought me back from the brink of death.
It's a long way to Lake Bangwelu Station. You should not talk. Save your water.
You pronounced that wrong, Preston. It's not. It's a long way because that's what he actually meant.
Yeah,
What he said is it's a long way.
exactly.
Page 19, panel 1. Erin sits down on the ground beside the train tracks, bricking from her canteen. Nikki stands across from her, glaring down at her.
Care to tell me why you want the Major dead? You did something. You might convince me you didn't intend all this, but you start by being straight.
I attempted to summon a Takolashi.
A what?
Bitch, I told you.
You hear me stutter?
Yeah.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Panel 2 narrator.
Panel 2, Nikki stands trying to think of the correct way to explain it.
Takalashi, a demon spirit, follows you around, makes you see and hear things, makes you crazy, and then you kill yourself.
It sounds like she already thought of the correct way to explain it. That was very concise.
It does, yeah.
Panel 3, Erin takes a deep breath, thinks for a minute.
Okay, but why Major Hansu?
Panel 4, Nikki turns her back to Erin, starts walking along the tracks away from her. Seated, Erin stares at her as she walks.
We should keep moving. The land will be coolest at night, better for traveling.
We are having this conversation.
No, we are not.
God, are they going to argue about COVID now?
Exactly.
Page 20, exterior African veldt night. Can we at least get like a sunset over the veldt or something? Come on, man. Anyways, sorry. Panel 1.
No, that's not a bad idea. No, that's a good idea.
Like, it's a classic image. How are you not doing that? There should be an elephant somewhere. Versus zombies. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You want a zombie elephant?
Nikki and Erin walk along the train. Elephants versus zombies. I mean, the elephant can defeat zombies.
Yeah.
That could be a scene. I want to see that scene now. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Anyways, Nikki and Erin walk along the train at night.
And you are Erin, John.
Oh yeah, this Tolkshi. How do we get rid of it?
It is bound to your major. Once it achieves its objective, it has no reason to remain on this plane.
Erin stops, pulls on Nikki's arm. They stare at each other.
You mean kill him? Let your demon kill Major Hansu. And what if I refuse to allow that?
Then it will kill you too. T-O-O.
It's pronounced toe.
Toe.
Then you can bring me back again.
Panel 3. Nikki sighs.
I can heal the body. I cannot bring back the soul. It will take the magic of a god to resurrect a soul to its body. Like over 9,000. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Page 21. Exterior African veldt night. Nikki and Erin sit on some soft, dry grass, holding the MREs that are actually called rations, taking small bites from them. The train tracks visible behind them.
Explain to me how that works. How were you able to heal me?
When I was 14, I started to sense the life force. The ancients believed it was a spiritual essence that binds living things. They believed that those gifted with this ability through much practice could transfer it from one being to another.
So you gave me your life force.
In concert with a healing spell, yes.
So now you have less life force.
Not exactly. While the amount any animal has at any one time is limited, it will return to its previous levels. The life force I gave you is as much yours as it is not yours. It is as much mine as it is not. See?
And when did you gain this ability?
On the next page.
About 4 hours ago.
Wah, wah. I will note that was not tagged as a splash page, but technically it was a splash page. But in reality, it's not a splash page. It's just an essay.
Say what?
So,
it was your only splash page that you didn't tag specifically as a splash page. And also, it was secretly an essay and not a splash page at all.
I don't know what you mean by an essay.
That is a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, like that
So
whole
are you saying-
conversation between Aaron and
I'm saying be careful with your art direction. Make sure there's room for all those balloons.
All right. So first off, let me say I like all the fighting that we have between, you know, there's all this conflict between Aaron and Nikki. Like I would have felt a little, yeah, it certainly would have felt wrong if Nikki healed Aaron and Aaron continued on like, oh, that was nothing. It's all good. Thank you. I mean, yes, it's now that it's been revealed that Nikki is the zombie master. Cool. And so we have that revealed. You gave that to us, the audience. We had, of course, the audience had a moment of dramatic irony because we knew that Nikki, I think we knew, right? Like the audience knows that Nikki is right.
Yes, I think it's pretty obvious from
Right.
like issue 1, but
Yeah.
I mean,
But
she's
I mean,
freaking doing a seance in issue 1.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah, like it's yeah,
it's the mystery is not the who, it's the why.
right. And yes, and I want to get to that when we get to constructives. But Danny, what do you think?
Sure. So I really did like the use of magic to do something other than summon zombies. It was quite fun to see like interactions between characters that weren't 100% about the plot, because we had a couple issues of largely that, and it was getting somewhat tiring. And so, yeah, this is a really nice change of pace to have them just like sort of hanging out for a bit and actually like talking about stuff and explaining what's going on. And this was like a pretty reasonable progression from the train crash. It was like, okay, well, the train crashed. Now what? And apparently it's, you know, let's go for a hike. And that's a very sensible thing to do after a train crash if you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So you had notes.
All right. So constructive. I gotta confess, when she's like, I don't feel why she has it in for Major Hanzo. Has that been revealed?
Nope.
Okay, so
That quite literally starts on the rest. That's how we end issue 4. There's like
Fair
2
enough.
or 3 pages
Okay.
left to issue 4.
So it lacks a bit of dramatic weight when like, oh my God, you're the bad guy, dun dun dun. Why are you doing this? And she's like, to kill this other bastard for reasons that the audience doesn't even know. That does not allow us to sympathize with our villain and her decision seems a bit arbitrary. So yeah, that's all I had to say. All right, go ahead, Dan.
Sure. So yeah, I mentioned sort of a missed opportunity to play around with the location a little bit more already, but that my major constructive about this sequence is that the zombies stop being an imminent threat to our protagonists incredibly quickly. You spent a really long time making them very, very scary, and then you do the snakes on a plane thing, which is a great idea, and there's a bunch of tension. There's a huge train crash, and the zombies just leave. Like, Nikki, fine, she goes Super Saiyan, but she already went Super Saiyan once this issue, and I haven't seen her do that before. So doing it twice is like, hey, whatever.
Super what?
Super Saiyan. It's what's that?
She goes like extra powerful magic girl.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, it's a Dragon Ball reference.
Yeah.
She powers up, does the thing twice, cool, but like she handily dispatches Zombie Amos, who is a zombie who talks, and like there's a huge, like, you made a big deal of it like the other week when we were talking about, oh yeah, he's a threat. He's not a threat. He shows up and he's dispatched in like one pan. So yeah, like all the zombies stop being a threat really quickly. No one talks about what to do with everybody else. Like, is everyone else just like what, barricading themselves into a train car with no food or water? That's not going to last. Also, that's a terrible idea. So what made that be a good idea after the train crash, right? Like, you you need to give like the end of your scene a bit of room to breathe to move on, or like just establish, no, we're going out to do this because we need to do this now. And you've got two very selfish people who are just leaving a bunch of survivors possibly to die, and you don't really dwell on that in a way that makes sense for your story. So I would consider addressing the relationship between the zombies on what remains on the train before anyone leaves. Like in the dialogue. Sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah, no, actually, no, I know exact. Yeah, no. So if last week, Aaron basically instructed everybody to go into the observation coach and barricade themselves there because that's where they had the food and water and ammunition. And they were all happy because they thought that the zombies were going to basically get off the train, surround them, and kill them all. And they were all happy with this idea until all the passengers went into the observation coach and saw Nikki doing magic. And now they're like, oh, magic girl, we don't want anything to do with that. And that's why they basically went back into the other train car and barricaded themselves inside there. However, when the train stopped, the zombies don't care about the people on the train. They only care about the Major, who escaped at the beginning of issue 4. So they're going after him. So they get off the train and they run down the train track after him.
So
Aaron
I mean,
and Nikki are basically
asking, like, why is no one saying something about, like, oh, why aren't the zombies after us? Oh, they're going that way around that corner. Isn't that where Major Hanso fell off? Someone just says that, we can get on with our lives.
No, I think what you also brought up another point about them just basically leaving all the people behind. And basically, since everybody is leaving, I can just have Aaron tell the rest of the passengers that there's more food and rations in the other car, and she'll send help when she gets to the next town.
Keep going, get to the station. We've got something to do. We're gonna try and meet you there. We're gonna find out what's up with these zombies and maybe kill them all. And you guys be safe, like whatever it is, right? Like,
right, yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that would really help, because it's been a while since we've seen Hanso, and there's so much action going on, and you still have like a lot of panels per page. So in order to just really clarify what's happening, like just having someone say it, I think is just going to make sure the reader's in the right frame of mind to really get into this actually very good character interaction that you're producing.
Yeah, no, I think that'll work. I mean, and this is only like 23 pages, this issue. So, I mean, it's a very short.
The train stopping as a 2-page splash.
Say what?
The aftermath of the train crash could be a huge 2-pager.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, because you're talking about if I extend some of the other pages, then yes, it's very likely that, I can make up for some of this. And as I said, there's still 2 or 3 more pages to this issue from where we read. So if it feels like it's kind of got cut short, I mean, yes, it did.
Was this the one that started off on the odd number, or was that the last issue that went an extra number?
This one started on technically started on an even number.
Yes,
because the train blowing up was a 2-page splash page.
Okay. So yeah, like
I wanted that. I wanted it big, and
unless you like go oversized for this one.
Say what?
At 23 pages of art, you're at the end of your book, unless you go oversized for this issue.
Right. But like I just figured out today, if if you pay Greco Printing for an ad space, it's actually cheaper to do a 27-page book with one of their ads than to do a 24-page book without an ad.
So you're just gonna go oversized?
So, no, it was just I was curious about that.
Sure.
But yeah, basically, it's like it's actually cheaper to do a 27-page comic than it is a 24-page comic.
Well, you notice back when, like I'm always trying to shoot for 23. Yeah, 23 in an ad. So that kind of stuff.
There you go.
But yeah.
Yeah, and like I always start everything at 22 and then figure out what I want to extend or whatever. Like that's still my default because I know that's industry standard, and I'm just trying to like do it right first.
I don't think that way. I
mean, I just feel like that's like the default size I aim for. Then I usually end up going to 24 because I realize I'm self-publishing. I've got the room for it. I need the space.
There you go.
But I try and finish the plot and then use the extra 2 for world building, for extra splash pages. Some more denouement, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think my draft of issue 5 is 40 pages.
And is that going to finish the story?
Yes, it'll finish the story, but I kept writing new scenes and
hey, finish the story in 5 and get on with your life is a real thing, so you should do that. Or, if you're still making this kind of money on your Kickstarters, maybe you shouldn't.
There you go.
Say what now?
If you're still making this kind of money on your Kickstarters, maybe you should go to 6.
Maybe.
Oh, I got the crossover coming.
The crossover with what? Guinevere?
No, my Angel of Darkness, Spirit of the Dragon crossover.
Oh, there you go. You're gonna get all of your in place. That'll help.
That's going to happen once I drop both issue 5s.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Any more notes? Those were all the scripts we had.
I mean, do you have more notes for him?
Danny, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So besides the last page that you said, and possibly when the train stops, which I guess would be the scene where the train stops and the zombies get off the train and are basically running down, and we see the whole train.
Yeah, the train stopping is a good point for an establishing shot. Is what I was saying, like a nice big one.
Right. So besides those two, any other pages that felt too long or had too much going on in them?
I mean, you have a few pages that have the standard problem of you got a lot of dialogue and then the art never really leaves a lot of room for it. So just be careful with that when you're giving notes on the work. Because it should work, but also our font for the foreign language is very big. So that takes up more space. But like for the most part, that'll be fine. If you really want the conclusion to be about Hanzo, like, have that good cliffhanger. Wait, what's your problem with Hanzo? Bam, fade to black. Right? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
talk about that. Maybe have a character talk about Shadow or like whatever, right?
Like, I mean, my note would be,
you need to tell people what they're going to see. And so whether it's we're going to defeat the Shadow that's never been mentioned, whether it's we're going to defeat Hanzo, doesn't matter. Tell the audience what it is. They know what they're coming in for. And then they're going to be like 110% into the last one. They might even tell their friends. They know it's going to be exciting.
So actually, I should point that out. Did either of you connect the fact that the Tolshke demon that she tried to summon was actually the Shadow?
Yeah, I got that.
I mean, I did. Will that come through in the art?
Oh, no. It came through in the story.
Yeah.
Like, she tried to do one thing, and something else happened.
It was reasonably
well. As long as... Okay,
right.
That's all I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure that that got...
My note would be that in stories where someone is taking bad actions, particularly that the protagonists are working against, that put the protagonists in danger, and we don't really have any reason to sympathize with them, they are villains. In this case, we have a person doing that. Nikki is taking actions which put the good guys in danger. She's taking reckless, selfish actions, and we, the reader, have no reason to believe that she is doing so for a noble purpose. That would make her a villain, except, well, if she's a villain, then Aaron needs to be fighting to defeat the bad guy to win. But clearly the story is going off in some other direction, and that always feels a little emotionally hollow to me. And I know that you're going to reveal more stuff later, and now we will understand that Nikki had a hard two, and we shouldn't cancel her.
I think one solution to Preston's problem might be to actually have Nikki express some regret and perhaps to explain some of what's going on. Now, you can save that for issue 5, but if you want her not to be the villain and to have that stick the landing, if that's not what you're going for, then yeah, you got to get the audience on her side really fast. I hadn't thought of that. She's just sort of doing stuff the whole time. We don't really know what her motivation is.
Right.
She's doing creepy, weird magic stuff, and then she gets like even more magic.
Yeah, and meanwhile, it's like,
and everyone else is like, "I have a gun, and I'm not wearing a shirt, and I'm shooting zombies." Like,
and I'm now left with, who is our protagonist? It seems like it's Erin.
Yes.
Which I did not expect. She's very much an emergent protagonist.
She is.
So, okay. So now we're kind of stuck with Erin. And if Erin goes along with Nikki, then she is kind of acquiescing to evil. And then I feel like we've lost the real conflict.
I mean, I think John is like aiming to end, if all of this is true, in like some version of a good, bad, and the ugly standoff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, that's my note. Do what you want with it.
We'll see. I'm sure if the dialogue doesn't work, I'll yell at him when it gets to lettering and be like, "Yo, read it."
Right.
And then he won't. That's fine. It's his story.
All right. I guess it's time. Thanks so much. And I should have more script pages next week.
And I am working on the rewrite of the fight scene from Spirit of the Dragon 4. So I should have that for next week too. And
I actually have started working on something. I will have it eventually. God damn it.
Awesome. Well, next week then.
All right.
See everybody. Take care. Good night.
Later. Good night.
Night, everybody.